The world was calm. Cities glowed under the night sky, and people went about their lives unaware of the eyes watching them from deep space. Satellites orbited silently, scientists studied the stars, and children dreamed of the future. But somewhere beyond the edge of the solar system, a fleet of alien ships moved silently, watching, waiting, and calculating. No one noticed the first sign. It began as a small blip on the radar, dismissed by technicians as a glitch. But soon, every communication satellite in orbit flickered strangely. Then, without warning, a massive hologram appeared above the Earth. It was enormous, glowing, and impossibly real. The world froze. People stopped, stared at the sky, and whispered in fear. A voice boomed across every language and every device. It was not a voice anyone had ever heard, yet everyone understood it clearly. Stop, or suffer our full wrath. Panic spread faster than wildfire. Airplanes halted in mid-flight, satellites blinked out of order, and governments scrambled. News channels switched to emergency broadcasts. Citizens poured into streets, looking at the sky in terror. The hologram showed nothing but a giant figure made of light, eyes glowing like molten metal, its arms stretched as if it could reach every corner of the Earth at once. In the White House, the president sat frozen. Military generals barked orders, but none had a plan. Scientists argued over the meaning of the message. Politicians tried to calm the public, but fear had already taken hold. What did the aliens mean by stop? Stop what? Breathing? Living? Progress? Dr. Elena Hayes, one of the leading scientists in the field of extraterrestrial communication, was already at her lab. She watched the signal on every screen, her hands trembling slightly. She was brilliant, but not a believer in panic. Carefully, she began decoding the message. Her computer screens filled with symbols and energy patterns that seemed almost alive. "They're watching us," she muttered. Her assistant, a young engineer named Marco, looked over her shoulder. "Watching what?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Everything," Elena said. "Our wars, our factories, our energy use, even the way we kill and fight. They think we are a threat." The realization hit Marco like a punch. Humanity, proud and powerful, was being judged, and the judge was not human. Time was short. The hologram disappeared, but the threat remained. Reports came in from around the world. Strange energy readings, satellites falling silent, and cities experiencing blackouts. The aliens had not left. They were still there, observing, calculating. Elena called a meeting of the world's top minds. Military leaders, scientists, and strategists joined via secure video links. The question on everyone's mind was the same. What does full wrath mean? "We don't have answers yet," Elena said, her voice steady despite the fear. "But one thing is clear. They are far more advanced than us. We cannot fight them with our current weapons." The generals exchanged grim looks. Nuclear missiles, fighter jets, even the newest satellites, they were all useless against something they could barely comprehend. The countdown began. The aliens had made it clear: 72 hours, 3 days to show that humanity could change, or face consequences beyond imagination. Meanwhile, ordinary people tried to continue their lives, but the sky was different now. Satellites blinked in the distance like alien eyes. Children cried when they saw the glowing sky at night. News channels ran non-stop reports, each more terrifying than the last. Elena worked tirelessly, decoding signals, tracking energy patterns, and trying to understand alien intentions. Every breakthrough she made only deepened the mystery. The aliens were intelligent, precise, and patient. They were not attacking yet. They were waiting, watching, judging. And humanity had to prove itself worthy of survival in just 72 hours. As the night deepened, a strange silence fell over the world. The usual sounds of traffic, chatter, and music faded into anxious whispers. People looked up at the sky, wondering if this was the last night they would ever see. Then just before midnight, the hologram returned. The giant figure raised one hand, and the world held its breath. Its glowing eyes seemed to pierce the hearts of every human. "Decide," it said, "or suffer." The threat was clear. The clock was ticking, and humanity for the first time realized that this was not a test of strength, but a test of courage, intelligence, and will. No one knew if they could survive. But one thing was certain: the world would never be the same again. The world was shaken, but it did not collapse. Fear ran through the streets, but determination ran deeper. Humanity had been threatened before, by wars, natural disasters, and even disease, but never by something it could not see or touch. Now, for the first time, humans were united by a single purpose: survival. In underground bunkers, in high-rise control rooms, and in secret labs around the globe, leaders and scientists worked frantically. Operation Survival, a global emergency plan, was declared. Countries shared intelligence, pooling technology, and resources. The oceans, skies, and even outer space became battlefields of preparation. Dr. Elena Hayes stood in a massive lab beneath Geneva, surrounded by engineers and physicists. They were designing the impossible: weapons that could bend gravity, ships that could slip through space faster than light, and drones that could think and adapt. Yet Elena knew that weapons alone were not enough. "The aliens are watching everything," she reminded her team. "They can predict patterns we can't even see. They won't be impressed by brute force." In the United States, fighter jets scrambled to intercept the first signals of alien activity. Radar screens flashed with unknown readings, massive energy fields that did not move like ordinary ships. Pilots reported strange distortions in the air, sudden bursts of heat and shadows that seemed to move independently. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, engineers worked feverishly to build quantum communication arrays that could send encrypted messages across light years. In Moscow, naval commanders tested energy shields on submarines, preparing for attacks from above or below the oceans. And in Cape Town, civilians organized in secret, creating safe zones and emergency plans, proving that even ordinary humans could make a difference. Despite the global effort, anxiety grew. Reports came in from smaller cities: strange creatures emerging from the forests, glowing streaks in the skies, and unexplained tremors in the oceans. People whispered that the aliens were testing them, learning how humans reacted under pressure. Every failure, every misstep, every panic was observed. Elena worked day and night, barely eating or sleeping. She discovered an anomaly in the aliens' energy signature. It was small, a faint pulse repeating every few seconds, but it hinted at a possible vulnerability. She shared it with military commanders, but many were skeptical. "It's too small to matter," one general said. "It won't help us fight them." Elena shook her head. "It's not about fighting," she replied. "It's about survival. If we exploit this correctly, we may gain the edge they do not expect." Back on the streets, ordinary people displayed unexpected courage. Teachers led children to safety during citywide blackouts. Engineers rigged buildings to survive energy strikes. Farmers converted their tractors and machines into emergency vehicles. Humanity was proving something even the aliens could not anticipate: the ability to adapt and improvise, even under extreme pressure. As the countdown ticked closer to the 72-hour mark, the aliens made their first direct move. A massive probe entered Earth's atmosphere, hovering over the Pacific Ocean. It radiated a cold blue light that caused waves to rise unnaturally and satellites to fail. Scientists scrambled to track it while military forces watched helplessly from below. Elena analyzed the probe's energy signature. It pulsed in the same rhythm as the anomaly she had discovered. Her eyes widened. "This is it," she said. "It's a test and a clue. If we act carefully, we can use it to our advantage." Meanwhile, world leaders faced impossible decisions. Some wanted to negotiate, others to attack immediately. Fear and pride clashed. For the first time, humanity faced a choice that could not be solved by armies alone. Courage, creativity, and quick thinking mattered more than tanks, missiles, or satellites. In the final hour of the countdown, the world held its breath. Cities went dark, skies shimmered with alien energy, and humans everywhere waited for the inevitable. But instead of destruction, the probe simply hovered, scanning, observing, as if curious about what humans would do next. Elena looked at her team, exhaustion and hope mingling in her eyes. "They're watching us," she said softly, "and we are ready to show them what humanity really is." Across the globe, ordinary people and extraordinary minds prepared for the next stage. For the first time in history, Earth was united, not by fear, not by politics, but by the raw will to survive. The aliens may have issued an ultimatum, but humans were already planning their response. And somewhere, deep in space, the alien observers began to notice patterns they had never seen before. Patterns of courage, ingenuity, and unyielding determination. Humanity was about to fight, and this time they would not just survive. They would strike back in ways the universe had never imagined. The sky over the Pacific Ocean glowed with a strange, cold light. It was not the sun, nor the reflection of city lights. The alien probe hovered silently, massive and unmoving, like a sentinel watching the world below. Ships from every nation had assembled nearby, fighter jets ready, missiles armed, but no one dared make the first move. Captain Ryan Cade, a pilot with the United Earth Defense Fleet, gripped the controls of his fighter jet. Sweat ran down his temple. This was the moment humanity had feared and prepared for, the first face-to-face encounter with the aliens. "Engage only if necessary," his commander's voice crackled through the radio. "Observe first, learn what we can." Ryan swallowed hard and nodded. Below, waves swirled unnaturally around the probe. Every instrument on the ship went haywire. Radar readings twisted and bent, signals became scrambled, and even the wind seemed to shimmer. The probe wasn't just a machine. It was something alive, something aware. Then, without warning, the probe pulsed. A beam of blue energy shot into the sky, splitting the clouds like liquid metal. The world seemed to hold its breath. Across the ocean, every human watched in awe and fear. For the first time, the aliens were not distant observers. They were here. "Captain Cade, do you see it?" Elena's voice came through a secure channel. She had been tracking the probe from her lab, analyzing every energy pulse. "Look carefully. They're scanning, and they're reacting to us." Ryan adjusted his instruments and peered closer. The probe's surface shifted, changing shape and color. It was no longer a simple object. It was something fluid, alive, and intelligent. And then Ryan saw it. Forms inside the probe. Not creatures as humans knew them, but beings made entirely of energy, moving with a grace that seemed impossible. Their shapes glimmered like stars, and yet they radiated power that made the fighter jet feel fragile, almost toy-like. "They're enormous," Ryan whispered. "And they can control the air around them. I don't think our weapons would even scratch them." Elena's voice was calm but urgent. "Ryan, observe carefully. They're giving us a message, patterns in their energy pulses. I think it's a form of communication. Every civilization they've encountered before has failed, but humans, we might be different." Suddenly, the probe emitted a loud, resonant hum that vibrated through the ocean and into the bones of everyone on the shore. A hologram flickered above it, massive, shimmering, and almost transparent. It was the alien commander, taller than any human imagination could reach, arms stretched wide. Its eyes glowed like molten gold, scanning the fleet below. "You have been warned," the alien voice echoed across the ocean and into the world. "Your weapons are meaningless. Adapt or be destroyed." Panic surged across the fleet, but something else sparked in the hearts of humans. Defiance. They had been threatened, yes, but never underestimated. Ryan gripped his controls tighter. "We're not giving up," he muttered. Around the world, people echoed the same thought. Humans would fight, even if the odds seemed impossible. Elena's fingers flew over her keyboard. She had discovered something extraordinary. The energy pulses of the aliens followed a pattern, a flaw in their defense shield. It was tiny, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A skilled strike, timed perfectly, might bypass their defenses. "Ryan, listen," she said urgently. "This is our chance. The aliens can predict almost everything, but not creativity, not ingenuity. That's our strength. You have to take that weakness and exploit it." Ryan looked at the ocean below, at the towering probe, and then back at the sky. The risk was impossible, the odds unimaginable, but this was humanity's moment. Ordinary humans, armed with courage and cleverness, were about to stand against beings that had never seen resistance like theirs. Across the world, fleets readied themselves. Civilians watched anxiously. Soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers triple-checked their calculations. Humanity was holding its breath for what could be the first strike, or the last. And then, with a pulse of energy that lit the sky, the alien probe shifted, almost as if it sensed the determination of humans. The first contact was complete. Not yet a battle, but a test, a warning, a challenge. The world waited, and somewhere in the hearts of humans a spark grew, a spark the aliens had never anticipated. Humanity was not just surviving. Humanity was learning, and they were about to fight in ways the universe had never seen. The world had watched, waited, and trembled. Now it was time to act. Humanity was no longer just a spectator. It was about to fight back. Captain Ryan Cade's fighter jet soared above the ocean, weaving through flashes of alien energy. Around him, other pilots followed, each one relying not on brute force, but on cunning and unpredictability. The alien probe hovered, massive and menacing, its energy field shimmering like liquid steel. It was almost invincible. Almost. Dr. Elena Hayes' voice came through the comlink, steady and commanding. All units, remember the pattern. The shield pulses every 12 seconds. Hit during the gap. Move fast, stay unpredictable, and improvise. The aliens cannot anticipate creativity. Ryan's heart pounded. He had trained for aerial combat, but never like this. These were not ordinary enemies. Every move he made had to be precise, yet flexible. The first wave of drones launched, small, fast, and guided by artificial intelligence. But even they were learning, adapting, thinking. They zipped around the probe like sparks, distracting its sensors, drawing its attention away from the main strike. Below, ships fired electromagnetic pulses that bent space itself, creating momentary windows in the probe's defenses. Ordinary humans, technicians, engineers, even volunteers, ran operations from hidden command centers. Every small success, every clever maneuver, shook the aliens' confidence, something they had never experienced. Then it happened. Ryan saw it, the tiny flaw Elena had discovered. A weak pulse in the probe's shield, lasting just a fraction of a second. He tightened his grip, adjusted his trajectory, and aimed the prototype quantum missile directly at it. The missile fired. Time seemed to stretch. The energy shield flickered, bending around the impact, and nothing. The first attempt failed. Panic surged, but Ryan steadied himself. Humanity's strength was not giving up. They tried again, and again. Each time they learned, adjusted, and improvised. Finally, on the fifth attempt, the missile struck at the exact moment of the shield's weakness. A section of the alien probe's surface fractured, glowing violently. Sparks of energy shot out, illuminating the sky in a dazzling display. The probe recoiled, almost as if it had felt pain. Across the globe, people cheered. Soldiers on the front lines, engineers in their labs, even children watching from windows felt a surge of pride. Humans had done what no one thought possible. They had struck the aliens. But the victory was only the beginning. The probe reacted violently, releasing smaller drones that swarmed like living storms over the ocean. Waves crashed against ships, lightning arcs danced across the sky, and energy shields flickered under pressure. The aliens were not defeated, they were provoked. Ryan dodged a massive energy strike that would have vaporized his fighter. Around him, pilots worked together, improvising tactics on the fly. One pilot lured drones into a storm, another used gravity-manipulating devices to bend the trajectory of alien weapons. Every action was unpredictable, every decision human, every mistake turned into a lesson. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Hayes coordinated from her lab. She directed civilian ships, repaired malfunctioning drones in real time, and sent precise calculations to the pilots above. Humanity was not fighting alone. They were fighting as one organism, every mind, hand, and heart contributing to the battle. The alien probe, once calm and omnipotent, now pulsed erratically. Energy fields collapsed, drones malfunctioned, and the massive structure began to crack. The aliens had never faced a species that could adapt under pressure, think creatively, and fight with courage rather than just power. Then, with a deafening roar that echoed across the ocean, the probe's energy shield exploded in a dazzling flash. Pieces of the alien machine plummeted into the sea, sending massive waves and fire into the sky. Ryan and the pilots narrowly avoided destruction, watching as the first alien ship had been breached by humans. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. Their calm, perfect judgment was shaken by the sheer unpredictability of human ingenuity. Across the world, news channels broadcast the event live. Humans had struck back, and the universe had taken notice. Ryan exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. He looked at the horizon where more alien ships awaited, massive and unreadable, but something had changed. Humanity had shown its spark, its creativity, its courage. Somewhere in space, the alien observers paused. For the first time, they had underestimated a species. They were beginning to understand a truth that humans had known all along. When cornered, humanity did not just survive, it fought, adapted, and triumphed. And this was only the beginning. The sky was no longer calm. Alien ships, massive and silent, filled the horizon, their energy pulsating like a heartbeat. Humanity had struck back and shattered the first probe, but now the full force of the aliens was coming. They had warned once, and now they were ready to test the humans' courage and their limits. Captain Ryan Cade flew over the Pacific, watching the waves churn under alien energy storms. Around him, human fleets coordinated like never before. Fighter jets darted like swarming hawks, while drones zipped in unpredictable patterns. It was not just a battle of weapons, it was a battle of wits. Dr. Elena Hayes, monitoring from her underground lab, analyzed the incoming ships. "They're scaling up," she said. "Every one of those ships is bigger than the first, and they're sending waves of energy storms. We can't fight them all at once. We have to be smart." Across the globe, civilians joined in the fight. Engineers on rooftops improvised energy deflectors from everyday technology. Fishermen used boats to redirect waves of drones. Cities turned into strategic outposts, each person contributing in some way. Humanity was no longer scattered, it was united. The aliens struck with precision. Energy storms lashed across continents, knocking out power grids, freezing cities in fear, and testing human resilience. Their drones hunted relentlessly, analyzing every reaction, probing every defense. Humanity's will was being measured, second by second, yet humans adapted. Soldiers worked alongside civilians, improvising tactics on the fly. When one city lost its shields, volunteers used water and metal scaffolding to redirect alien energy. When a drone swarmed a research lab, a group of students created an electromagnetic pulse trap, disabling it. Every action was clever, every solution unexpected. Elena noticed something extraordinary. "They're following rules," she said. "They have a code. They won't destroy a species that shows creativity and courage. That's why they are testing us, not annihilating us outright." This knowledge changed the approach. Instead of brute force, humanity relied on ingenuity. Drones were guided not by weapons, but by traps. Fighter jets executed unpredictable maneuvers. Civilian networks hacked energy flows to confuse alien targeting. The humans learned to fight in ways the aliens could not predict. Captain Cade led a daring strike on one of the larger ships. Using the shield weakness Elena discovered, his squadron bypassed the alien energy field. They planted a quantum disruptor, and the alien ship flickered violently, its hull cracking under pressure. Humanity had proven again that courage, intelligence, and unity could overcome sheer power, but the aliens were not defeated. Their massive flagship pulsed with energy, radiating waves that disrupted navigation, communications, and even the humans' own energy weapons. It was a test of endurance. How far could humans push? How much ingenuity could they display under pressure? Around the world, every small victory mattered. A soldier in Buenos Aires redirected alien energy to save a city. A group of students in Cairo hacked alien sensors, confusing their targeting. Farmers in Iowa used tractors and homemade devices to disrupt drones. Humanity was everywhere, every hand and mind contributing to the fight. The aliens began to hesitate. Their precise, calculated movements slowed, Their drones faltered and their massive ships wavered in the sky. The humans had surprised them. The aliens had expected panic, fear, and submission. But humans responded with creativity, courage, and unity. Captain Cade radioed Elena. "They're hesitating. They're actually holding back." "Yes," she replied, her voice calm but triumphant. "They are testing the ultimatum. They want to see if we are worthy of survival, and we are proving it, step by step." Across the globe, humanity held its breath. Cities were battered, lives lost, but the spark of defiance had grown into a wildfire. Every human contribution, no matter how small, mattered. Humanity was not just surviving the test. They were shaping the outcome. Somewhere in space, the alien observers paused. The species they had expected to crumble under pressure was rising instead. Patterns they had never seen before unfolded. Courage, ingenuity, and adaptability. The ultimatum was being challenged, not with weapons alone, but with the very essence of humanity. The storm raged, the alien ships loomed, and humanity continued to fight. The world had been tested, and it had refused to break. But even as victory glimmered, one truth remained. The aliens had not surrendered. The final test was coming, and humanity would have to rise higher than ever before. The skies were filled with alien ships, massive and glowing with energy. The ocean roared below, cities shone like jewels, and humanity stood at the edge of a turning point. After days of terror, courage, and ingenuity, the world now held a single question. Could humans survive the final test? Captain Ryan Cade led the fleet toward the largest alien flagship. It was enormous, its hull radiating power that could crush entire cities in seconds. But Ryan's squadron was ready, not with superior firepower, but with cunning. Every human weapon, drone, and ship had a role. Every mind, every hand, every heartbeat was part of the plan. Dr. Elena Hayes had discovered the key. The aliens' network of energy sensors was linked through a central node in their flagship. If humans could disrupt it, the entire fleet would lose coordination. But reaching it meant flying straight into the heart of the enemy, a near-suicidal mission. "Ryan, this is it," Elena said through the comlink. Her voice was calm, steady, and full of determination. "We have one chance, one strike. Time it right and we win. Hesitate, and we fail." Ryan swallowed hard. Around him, pilots adjusted shields and weapons. Civilian engineers monitored energy pulses. Ordinary people were part of the plan, controlling drones, hacking minor systems, and feeding information in real time. Humanity was united as never before, a single organism fighting for survival. The squadron dove. The flagship fired massive energy beams tearing through the clouds and waves. Shields flickered under the assault. Ryan dodged a strike that could have vaporized his jet. Around him, the other pilots improvised, using every trick they had learned in the past days. They danced through the sky, unpredictable, creative, alive. Meanwhile, Elena worked furiously from her lab. She hacked into the aliens' communication network, sending false signals, confusing their drones, and masking the squadron's approach. The aliens, for the first time, struggled to adapt. Their systems, designed to predict and control, were failing against the unpredictable brilliance of humans. Ryan reached the central node. The energy field around it shimmered violently, ready to destroy anything that came near. He fired the quantum disruptor, timing it perfectly with the pulse Elena had discovered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flagship shook, energy arcs dancing across its surface. The hull cracked, systems overloaded. The alien fleet faltered. Across the globe, humans watched in awe. The massive flagship flickered, then exploded in a brilliant display of light and energy. Smaller ships scattered in disarray, drones fell from the sky, and the once unyielding alien fleet faltered for the first time. Humanity had won, not through sheer strength, but through courage, creativity, and unity. But victory was not yet complete. Alien observers appeared above the remaining ships, massive beings of energy, their forms flickering like stars. Ryan hovered, holding his breath. The aliens could have destroyed them all in an instant, but instead, they paused, studying the humans. Dr. Elena Hayes smiled, exhausted but triumphant. "They're Reconsidering, she whispered. The aliens had never faced a species like humanity, one that could adapt, innovate, and fight with spirit as much as technology. The alien commander spoke for the first time since the battle began. Its voice echoed across the planet, calm and resonant. You are different. You survive not because of power, but because of ingenuity. We will leave. For now. But we are watching. The fleet lowered its shields. Humans cheered, hugged, and cried. Streets around the world erupted in celebration. For the first time in history, humanity had stood against an enemy far beyond its understanding. And survived. Captain Ryan Cade looked at the horizon, the ocean still roaring, the sky cleared of energy storms. He thought of the people fighting in labs, on rooftops, in classrooms, and in homes around the world. Humanity had not just survived, they had triumphed through intelligence, courage, and unity. Dr. Elena Hayes addressed the global communication network. This is more than a victory, she said. It is proof that humanity is strong, creative, and fearless. Today we have shown the universe who we are. Somewhere in the stars, the alien observers recorded the event, their glowing forms flickering. They had underestimated humans, but that mistake would shape how they viewed the galaxy forever. On Earth, the world was scarred, cities in ruins, lives lost, but hope burned brighter than ever. Humanity had faced its greatest threat, endured unimaginable fear, and emerged victorious. They were no longer just inhabitants of a planet, they were a species that could rise against impossible odds. And as the sun rose over a recovering world, one thought echoed in every human heart. We will survive, we will fight, and we will always rise.